My name is Fahim. I'm one of the co-founders and lead designers for NMKR, together with Patrick. I think we can kick off this little discussion by having everyone introduce themselves quickly, maybe with their project and also their vision as well.
Yeah, definitely. Hello, everybody. My name is Logan. I'm a co-founder of the Clarity Protocol. Let's see, my background a little bit. I'm a graduate at Stanford University. Graduated about 2 years ago. Used to play professional soccer, but caught the blockchain bug while I was in university and just dove in deep and decided I wanted to enable decentralization, and here I am now.
That's great. Yeah, I'm Patrick. I'm the co-founder together with Fahim of NMKR, and I'm a computer science graduate, so I'm a programmer by trade. Nowadays I just manage, unfortunately. I miss it, but that's me.
Hi, I'm Molly. I'm one half of the CryptoFairies. We're on an altruistic mission to bring kindness to the blockchain. I started off with a big, huge agenda of bullying and stuff like that, so we're just on a mission to bring it forward and bring it to be more kind.
My name is Jack Cochin. I'm the CMO of vyfinance. Even though I'm young, I've been in crypto since 2013, and this is my latest journey now into Cardano.
Nice. Do you guys think it makes sense to just quickly talk about your project to get some context for your discussion?
Right, so, vyfinance, really quick. Our main goal is a yield aggregator. You can also call us an automated investment solution. The magnum opus of our product is the neural net auto harvester, which down the line will be partaking in yield farms and stake pools, and other similar opportunities, but primarily yield farms and stake pools across the Cardano chain in the risk profile you set, such as stable, low, medium, high. Quick example, say you're on stable, you have you're staked to a stablecoin liquidity pool. When that no longer is the best for its remaining stable and being safe, the bot will move you to what is now the new best pool. And since it's a neural net AI, it can do that recursively, incessantly, while we're sleeping.
Well, our project is a bit different. It's not so much to do with the tech, and it's more so to do with thinking. So we like to bring magic to your mind. And as every industry evolves, and our Web3 industry evolves now, we are sort of at the forefront of an industry where we can build what we want. And in Web2, you've seen a lot of bullying and trolls and stuff like that. So we just wanted to create an environment with our NFT project where we can be welcoming for onboarding and show everyone that there is a new future available where we can all think together and work together differently. So that's basically what the CryptoFairies want to bring to the blockchain.
Yeah, NMKR is building Web3 infrastructure, so basically what we want to do is we want to enable real businesses to solve real problems using blockchain technology. And for that we build a suite of tools. That we have no-code tools, we have APIs and all that stuff that you need to really develop on Cardano, because developing on Cardano isn't the easiest part. So yeah, that's what we do. We're responsible for 25% of all NFTs on Cardano at this point, and it's hopefully growing.
Yeah, so at Clarity, really what we want to do is enable decentralized innovation, and how we're doing that is by building non-technical DAO infrastructure. So we like to think of DAOs as a new type of organizational structure that companies of the future will leverage to hear the voice and collect the collective intelligence of their communities. So we're very focused on building this governance infrastructure so that projects on the Cardano blockchain can operate as decentralized organizations, and very focused on regulation as well. So how do you build these decentralized organizations in such a way that they are compliant? So yeah, really similar to NMKR, we want to bring real-world utility to blockchain technology by giving a solution where you can click a few buttons and participate in a transformative paradigm shift. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. What do you think makes building a company or business on blockchain different from a company that's not on blockchain? What are the key challenges you face, and how are you trying to solve those?
I'll start. There's a lot of challenges. I think every single one of us is pioneering a new industry. There's different ways of thinking, And I think you can really, from a very high level, what we're saying is that blockchain is this revolutionary technology, but why? It's a subtle shift, but the transformation is because instead of having to rely on centralized entities to hold our information, to monetize our information, we become our own kind of banks. We become our own kind of data center of what we participate in, the reputation we build. I think the challenges come in, making sure you build out the right tech and finding teammates that share your vision. I think you can keep talking about challenges, so I'll let everyone else chime in.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple challenges, but one of them, which I find is very interesting, is basically that instead of having, one big investor who you're responsible to and who you have to, talk to about your decisions, you suddenly have thousands of investors by creating a token on a decentralized protocol, right? And then you have to do community management, and you have to kind of figure out, okay, how much can we share at this point? How much do we have to keep private? How do we balance all of this stuff out? And it becomes very, very interesting, because like a lot of the companies that would be in the normal startup world not really active on any stock exchange or anything like that, and wouldn't really have like an active market going on all the time, suddenly have this market on the secondary market on all the DEXs and exchanges, and that really influences decision making to some degree. So you kind of have to think about that all the time, and it's interesting. And also just in general, the way the market works is that you have these hype cycles in crypto, and it's way bigger hype cycles than you have in traditional stocks. So basically you always have these phases of where nothing is happening and you can build, and then suddenly everything hypes again, and then suddenly the community grows like 10 times, and then it goes back down again, and so on. So it's quite challenging.
I'm just going to talk about this from like a more altruistic point of view, just because that's where our project is viewing it from. And as I've learned with charity, obviously there's a lot of people in the generations coming into being able to give to charity that haven't given before, haven't donated before. And we've sort of had charities in the past where you donate and you're not exactly sure where your money goes, or there's not so much transparency as a blockchain brings. So with CryptoFairies, what we're trying to do is be the most transparent way possible to show what the money that the community gives to us goes to, and how we teach moving forward. So I do believe that blockchain, building a business, especially a non-for-profit business on blockchain, makes that transparency a lot more easier. And you don't think, I guess nowadays some people think scam when they see people in the shopping centres handing them out things and saying, can you give me a monthly subscription service? But where I have that connection with my community, and we can keep on growing that, and then my employees will have that connection with the community, that transparency just gives us that level of like understanding and communication, and hopefully acceptingness of newer generations for giving and charity work and stuff like that. So just in an altruistic point of view, that's how it helps us.
One thing I've learned working with cryptocurrencies over the years and whatnot, like projects on them, is that crypto people are different. Every person in crypto is a character. Like you hear that person's character, every person in crypto is a character. And they are all, when you're in crypto, it starts with the decentralization mindset, the moving forward, the working together. And that is a pretty shared belief among crypto. There are certain projects you can name that start with an X or an S that would make many people groan. Of course, they're still popular, but at the end of the day, the general consensus is that people want to see something either decentralized for the benefit of that, or even centralized when necessary. Some things don't deserve the blockchain, some things do. And nowadays you see that people who are in crypto, though, they have that passion for it. And in my opinion, that's what keeps crypto safe in that perspective. Yeah, it gets crypto bro sometimes, but at the end of the day, we still all have the overall goal and the same mindset. And we all know that we want to be able to control our own money, first and foremost. Everyone will agree with the whole your keys or crypto mentality. Everyone in this whole building for the crypto. So when you're in, I've learned with blockchain, you really have a different type of person, but they all agree in what they want. And people, for the most part, know what they want. Sure, people newer into crypto might not, but that just takes time.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback off that is people do come to crypto with that mindset of decentralization, and you look at very efficient businesses, and they're pretty centralized. So how do you find that balance between having a completely decentralized protocol and introducing some centralization so that the decisions that are getting made, the issues that are getting voted on, are the ones that actually progress the protocol or the product or the whatever it may be forward. So that's something we think about a lot at Clarity is, yes, decentralization is amazing, but it comes at a cost of efficiency. So where do you find that balance of introducing centralization to actually build real-world businesses on decentralized systems? They might have some aspects within them that do introduce centralization, but as long as you're transparent about where that centralization is introduced, I think there's a lot of progress that can be made in terms of driving real-world adoption.
We briefly discussed the topic of community as well, and I think that the whole crypto space is a super community-driven industry because people buy into your project, NFTs, they value token and whatnot. I think it's quite critical to build a sustainable community, but how do you build that? How do you sustain it for your project, and how do you leverage that for each of your projects and businesses?
Well, with my most recent project, I can't tell you exactly how I make the community, because that's kind of my trade secret and how I operate. But for the most part, it goes down to being humble. Don't announce announcements. People are getting wise to that. And really just like, for example, we have a few dexes that I've seen across platforms who don't make a single post until they're 100% ready. They get pretty similar reception to those who do all the posting. As long as you're yourself, you're making promises that you will keep, and you're not making too many promises. What is it called? When you lose focus loss, focus creep. That happens a lot. So with the community, as long as when you start to talk about the beginning of the project, you're making the beginning of the community, you tend to you're selling an idea at that point. Just make sure that you're transparent yourself and that you're not over-promising, trying to focus creep, get to this, that, we can do all these things. Choose your goal. Sure, you can have sub-goals to get to that, but as long as you're honest with them, even if you're honest about the fact that, hey, our roadmap might have to be updated in the future, just be honest with people. That's the backbone of cryptocurrency. And one of the things about cryptocurrency is it's almost a forced honesty in some ways, a forced transparency. So that mindset carries back, and it's expected. So I think that's all you really need to do is just do what's expected of you. Be a good person. It's really that. Don't lie, don't overpromise. Do what your parents taught you.
I don't know about that part of the announcements. Because every time I announce an announcement, I get more hype on the announcement of the announcement than on the actual announcement. So I don't know about that.
The hype versus
of course.
Yeah.
But I agree with everything else that you said. I think transparency is key. I think we see a lot of stuff that gets hyped up very quickly, and that's where the community is not sustainable. In the end, it all comes down to actually like building sustainable stuff, and then the community will follow. Is the question?
There's a few things that I'll let him answer, and then I'll talk about. All right, I think that's us. Yeah.
My question is, given that probably the majority of people who are interested in crypto and blockchain, or who are at least on the business side of it, are reputed to be full of hackers, hype, and hustlers. Now that's not meant to be pejorative, but that's the fact. So when you say, and you tout the honesty component of it, how does that sit with what I just said? And how would you propose to change that? How would you really go about changing that dynamic?
I would say that's where it goes into, and this is an interesting way of putting it, it's where it goes into the forced honesty part of it. Because the transactions and everything is 100% transparent, people who act like that will get caught up with in time. Now, there have been ways where they've run away with the money and we've never seen them again. But they still are on this earth. And one day they will have to use that money on a centralized process. All you need to do is deny them there. And those routes are being developed, because crypto's still new. So as we grow and get older, we'll have more redundancies to protect against
How are you going to weed out the hustlers and the hype and the hackers?
More so with I don't know the proper word for it, an authoritarian stance, but from a community. The whole community not liking someone because they did a particular action. There's the whole any publicity is good publicity is no longer really a thing. We started to see cancel culture, and then we saw that get a little too crazy. So, but with that, we do have all these routes where a whole community can essentially dislike one person.
But that's the community within the crypto space. How you can transfer that to the conventional mums and dads and the older generation perhaps who did not grow up with crypto. How do you change that dynamic?
For them, if it goes back from the crypto at first, I would say, a hacker is a hacker. He hacked crypto, it's the same as if I told you he hacked this. You don't need to have a thorough understanding of computers for me to tell you someone's a hacker and you to dislike them. Well, unless I say they're like a white hat hacker, for example. But it's the same thing at the end of the day where a lot of the things illegal in crypto are illegal in the regular world as well, or frowned upon across both.
But the problem with that is that we hear people who follow crypto, we hear about these coins, and all of a sudden $80 million fiat is vanished, which is substantial. We see it, we read about it quite often.
Yeah.
So we have to excise that from the paradigm to actually make a real change?
Oh yeah, and it is happening, don't get me wrong. Every time one of these hacks happens, we go, how did that happen? Why did that happen? How can we prevent it in the future? So that is one of the things where it is also, it's like the hacker versus the antivirus. Someone will make a new idea, they'll do it, then the new idea comes that counters that, ad infinity.
Yeah, really, you don't have to make it specific, this conversation specific to crypto. I think crypto gets a bad rap because there's rug pulls and people are skeptical of the technology. And every early emerging technology has its growing pains. But really, it comes down to, people say this a lot, but doing your own research. And we're still in our infancy of building our community. And when you find a community that you want to join, it's because this community is about something that you're passionate about. And a lot of people a book we read a lot would call it a massive transformative purpose. So, for us, our massive transformative purpose is enabling decentralized innovation. And if you can get on board with that and you want to join our community, the next thing that you need to do is understand our incentive structures. So how do we operate as a community? What is encouraged? What do we not like? So really understanding what is the community you're getting into. Are you just buying a coin because you saw an article and it says it's going to pump? Or are you buying a coin because you believe in what the coin is trying to accomplish? So I really think separating the two words, crypto and blockchain, is very important for our industry.
The other boring part of that answer is that there are these things called forensic analysis tools, which basically there are professional companies that search through the transaction history and help to identify who are these bad actors. It is something that is hard to access for the everyday person, but that's part of the overall maturity of market infrastructure that interacts with blockchain technology. And there are a number of companies that we do help to onboard to Cardano today to make this process easier. And there are a number of third-party services that also are kind of like the community watchdogs, if you will. So if you think about one of these teams up here, if all of a sudden there was a hacker that attacked their project, it's also in their best interest to try to find out who is this hacker and to prevent this activity from occurring. So while it does make headlines, in fact, in the global crypto industry, the total percentage of hacks and thefts is around 1.5% of all on-chain cryptocurrency activity. It's just, it's from the analysis firms themselves that do the collection of all these bad activities. And that's a little bit less than the actual fiat world of kind of like this similar type of crime. And part of that is just that embedded, there is this traceability system. If you're doing something with cash, you can't exactly find out where it went. So looking at things such as social ratings on wallets, looking at things such as transaction analysis are two tools that is native to blockchain technology. And while it's never good that a theft or a crime does happen, it does kind of affect everyone here. It is like an industry problem that many different actors are trying to solve.
So basically, what you're saying is that it's actually not going to become, if you like, institutionalised until the regulators can behind it and come together and actually create a standard whereby everything is because the regulators are
I mean, there's the thing about regulation, but it's also having compliant systems that aren't necessarily done to prevent people from creating businesses and projects on top of blockchain technology. But it's when you encounter an issue like this that you do want some solution here that is supportive of having funds being returned to you. And that is kind of the natural progression of the blockchain industry. It's actually something that's wanted to have this type of oversight that allows for adoption to scale.
I think one minute to something.
Oh, and I guess a little bit more of a spatial look at things, like obviously that happens in everyday life with like consciousness and awareness, and people have like taken advantage of one another in a human way. So like there's data breaches, there's people who rob each other on a daily basis. So that does happen, and I understand the gravity of the amount that's happening in the Web3 industry at the moment. And I honestly have the same questions myself. How do we combat this? Like without even a regulatory service? Well, I guess maybe I'm a bit philosophical, but I did want to try and create a project where we try to make each other learn how to treat each other nicely and not have to take from one another so much. And I believe that was why the decentralization started in the first place. So as a community, we can all work it out together without getting this third party involved, so we can understand each other. So I started my project to try and maybe open the minds of humans and try not to take advantage of each other, and it may be a utopian mindset, but that's the only way that I could fathom in my brain that I would try and help move forward from not only the hacking in Web3, but the way that the world works in general now. Anyway, so that was just
How much time do we have left actually?
We're at 120, so that's kind of we're at the end.
Okay.
Do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for listening. If anyone has questions, please don't ask.
don't ask.
Thank you.